Hello, I'm Silveroxis, and this week's COTC release is Neha, the Mysterious Beauty. Neha is a support class dancer. Like, she's mainly used for support ability. She does have magic attacks and stuff, but she's just mainly used for support. Her special abilities is like Rinyu and Alana EX. She can channel prayers to provide constant buffs in the back row that consumes SP turns to allow infinite uptime. Her preferred weapons would be either a Fortune Fan, built for the specific amount of SP you want her to have in order to manage to keep her passive, which I'll explain more of that in a minute, or a Void Fan for free buff extension, the buff extension passive for her EX skill eventually when it releases, and for her ultimate. Preferred accessories would be, as she mainly sits in the back row, any accessories that buff her front row ally or A4s that cause battle debuffs are useful on her, or accessories that allow SP manipulation, such as the Blood-Soaked Cup to drain SP from her for the first 3 turns of battle, which will be for her passive, which is coming up next. So for her passive skills, 2 of them are pretty much pointless, and only 1 of them matters. The 1-star passive is when she switches rows, she restores HP of the front row. This is pointless. You'll literally see it maybe twice a battle if she starts in the back row. It's terrible healing power. It's bad. Her TP passive is also she gains 10% SP recovery when she's not channeling one of her prayers. Also kind of pointless because she's probably channeling one of her prayers the majority of the time. Her main passive that matters is when she's at 50% SP or less. She raises magical attack and critical of the front row by 15%, and the damage cap by 20%, 20,000. When she does get her 6-star, that increases to 20% and the damage cap to 30,000. It's really annoying that she didn't release a 6-star because that limits her potential quite a lot. This is her main passive. Like when combined with Isla on the team, this allows for an easy way to reach the 50% passive magic cap. It's just that this passive is also kind of annoying to set up and keep properly maintained, because while she's channeling her prayer, she does regain 10% of her SP every turn in the back row. So you have to make sure that she's like below half and then gaining like no SP positive over what she's losing to the prayer based on the BP you used on the prayer, in order to keep her like at the same SP amount constantly in the back row. And also there's just the other accessories, like if you have Bargello A4 or other SP accessories, she might be gaining SP like on break turns and stuff, which could put her over 50%. So you have to be like very specifically balancing her SP, either with the SP nodes, the weapon she has, the accessories and everything like that, in order to make sure that she stays under half SP while channeling her skills. But if you can do that, then this is a really easy way to get, reach higher passive magic attack combined with Isla. If Isla's not there, you may not have to worry about it, just because it's not that hard to get 30% passive magic attack elsewhere. For her skills, she has a base 3-hit random target ice and dark attack. You'll never use those. Front row, 15% defense up and crit for 2 to 5 turns. Again, may not really be needed. 3-hit single target ice and dark that also debuffs physical defense or magical defense by 10%. The debuff value is kind of bad, and you could use it for shield shaving, but again, she's really just going to channel one of her prayers and bail. So moving on to her actual prayers, the first one, the Shion prayer, is while channeling, she raises fire and ice damage and critical by 30% to all allies, and grants the ability to crit with magic. The initial SP cost is 50, lower to 40 at level 88, and then the maintaining cost is between 180 to 60 SP a turn based on the amount of BP you use. So you will want to gauge out how much BP to use on this prayer in order to keep your SP below 50% while the passive is. So basically, if you're running a Fire Ice team, this caps their damage up, active damage up, and gives them a better chance to land critical hits for even more damage. So it's a very good prayer for that. Moving on to other skills, her second prayer is the Silver Ash prayer. While channeling, she raises light and dark damage and critical by 30% to all allies. So this is the exact same prayer, exact same SP costs, exact same SP based on BP used and everything. This is just for light and dark. So basically, you choose between her buffing ice and fire or buffing light and dark. So this is her main claim to fame. It's really, really strong. She also has a 3-hit AoE ice and 3-hit AoE dark. This is basic 3x80 power. It's strong, but you're not using her for magic DPS. You're just not. She's there for support. Then her TP skill is actually decent because it restores the front row, excluding herself, by 25 to 100 based on the amount of BP used. This is mainly good because it costs 100 SP, so you can use this as a good way to drain SP from her to get her below half SP before you start channeling her prayers. So this is really just good to help set up her passive. Moving on to her EX skill and ultimate. Again, she did not release with her EX skill because she did not release a 6-star for some reason, which really sucks because her EX skill is actually pretty good. You can only use it once, available after turn 5, but for 3 to 6 turns based on BP used, it gives all allies damage cap of 50,000. That's actually pretty useful. It's very good. It's just that she didn't release with 6-star, and so waiting until she has 6-star, by then, like, you may not want to use her anymore, so it really does hurt her initial potential. Her ultimate is a support class ultimate requiring only 3 BP to charge at level 10, and it raises magic attack, critical, and elemental damage by 10% and grants dead aim, so automatic critical with all magic attacks for 2 turns at the front row. And at level 10, it scales to 15% and gains a 3-turn duration at ultimate level 10. Moving on to Awakenings and her A4 accessory. A1's not needed. She's not really there for DPS. She's just going to be channeling and using support skills. A2, again, she's channeling and maybe using her TP skill. She doesn't need A2. She literally never needs 3 skills, more than 3 skills. A3, I mean, HP's great, but you only got this because you decided you wanted her A4, and she's in the back row and probably doesn't really need HP, except for that 1 turn where she channels if she gets killed. So generally A3 is just not needed either. Her A4 is the Starry Crystal Ball. It grants 80 crit stat, which is kind of bad, and 60 SP. So the stats are kind of not great. Its unique abilities are that it grants the wearer the ability to crit with magic if they couldn't already, and when in the back row, raises physical and magical defense of the entire front row by 15%. Her A4 is a decent, good A4 for defense to slap in anyone in the back row for extra defense. The thing is, the magic crit ability is okay, except that she gives that already when she channels one of her prayers if you're using her. And if you have her A4, then you're probably using her for the damage up and magic crit anyway. And some key magic units like Cyrus, who got it with his TP, and like Oswald gets it, and some of the other ones can already crit with magic on their own anyway. Nefty got given a buff that allows her to grant magic critical as well. So like this A4 granting just that and not also granting dead aim just makes it not very great. So the overall rating for this A4 would honestly just be a C tier. The stats aren't great. There's other ways to get passive defense, and that would be this A4's best use, is just for the 15% passive defense, honestly. Moving on to an optimal skill layout for her. I mean, skill 1 is going to be the prayer of choice for ice or fire damage, or light or dark damage, depending on your party, because you only need 1. Skill 2 would be her TP skill to restore SP to the front row for use in a pinch, or to burn SP to set up her passive. Skill 3 and 4 really just aren't needed. You can take her 3-hit AoE or single target for shield shaving before she goes into prayer, but it's not really needed. It's just like you can do it to burn some SP and shave some shields if you're really wanting to, since you don't really need the prayer to break. So you can do that if that's your best option for shaving shields, but I doubt it is. And like I said, she never needs 4 skills, honestly. And like, as I said, the debuff, the 3-hit single targets, the debuff's only 10%, so you probably have better ways of doing that anyway, besides her. Unit synergy, she synergizes extremely well with magic teams for the 4 elements her prayers cover, being fire, ice, light, and dark. And she combos extremely well with Isla specifically, because with her passive to help reach the 50% magic up cap, especially when she has 6-star and 8, so then she can just jump it from the 30% cap to 50% instantly just by her existing, which is really nice. That Isla allows. And their ultimates also stack together as well to cap, even without needing ult 10 on either, because Isla's was buffed to be all allies, and at ultimate 9 for Isla, it's 19% magic attack up and elemental damage up. So like with that, like with Neha's and Isla's, you reach 29%, even neither of them are ult 10. Like, that's just good. And they would stack and extend the duration because it is specifically elemental damage and magic attack up, so it works. Signa is also a great combo to have as well for debuffs, as Signa does good light damage and could get fire and light resistance down, as well as allow the units she buffs to hit really hard because of her ultimate as well. So finally, to pull or not to pull, Neha's is honestly one of the better general pull units in the entire game. However, she is for magic-based teams only and does basically nothing for to help physical teams, except for her EX skill. And she does not have that on release. Physical straight just outclasses magic. So unless you really love magic, you'll want to use physical, and if that's an option. So based on what tier of play you are, I can give the following recommendations of whether you should pull or not. But as a reminder, make sure that if you love this unit, if she's waifu, if she looked really cool, if you really like using magic teams, pull. Have fun your way. Doesn't matter what the meta says or what people say. If you think this is a fun unit to use, go for it. But basically, for tier 4 play, just skip Anniversary Selector or Random Spooker later at some point. And if you haven't been already, since Twin Roll units apparently are starting up now, there's several of them yet to come, and a couple of them other of them are pretty good to get. Jane is a pretty good one in the future, for example. I'd start hoarding all your Traveler and Veteran seals until more of the new set of general units are already added to the pool. I'll definitely recommend when you should dump them, but for now I would start hoarding them again if you haven't. For tier 3 play, I'd still skip, same reasons as above. Dolphin, I'd still skip. I mean, I know even if you can spend some money and stuff, that's great. It's just she's fun to use, but you're probably saving for the limited hell and stuff. And unless you really want to spend a whole lot more, I wouldn't pull for a gen pull. You could YOLO 1 or 2 fulls if you wanted, because the frags don't expire if you really wanted. But then you're committed to pulling on every Twin Worlds banner at least once or twice to eventually build up to 100 pity on them. And if you're a whale, I mean, her A4 is not great. So, if you want to pull the unit to use her for showcases and stuff, since she's really just a support unit, I mean, yeah, you can do some damage with her if you really want. But since her best use is support, I mean, just get 2 copies for ult 10, so that way you can use her ultimate more effectively and then bail, even if you're a whale. But that's just my opinion. Overall, she is amazing magic support. She doesn't get much better than that in terms of for magic. If you are going with a magic team for those 4 elements, you want her along because capped damage up and being able to crit is just so good. It's just that it can be, and it's very fun to use. It's just that her damage is lacking. Her support is amazing. Her healing technically exists, but it's really bad. She doesn't have any tanking, but overall, as a tier, I would put her as an A-. It's still magic, though, and loses to physical, so keep that in mind. But, if you just kind of, rate it as a character overall and ignore the fact that physical beats magic, then as a character itself, that's why I would put her at lower A tier. At the bottom, still. But still decent unit. So, overall, I'd probably still skip, but you can have a lot of fun with her, so, let me know below if you did decide to pull for her, if you decided to wait. And look forward to next week, which should be the Live banners. Until then, this has been. See you next time, and follow, and subscribe for more COTC content. Good night.